Hi everybody, Dr. Wolf here. I wanted to take a minute and talk to you all about cheating, plagiarism, the codes of conduct, and GroupMe, because I think this is an important conversation that everyone, including my online students, really need to be aware of. First, let's just talk a little bit more about academic dishonesty. I would encourage all of you to visit the codes of conduct. You are, as a student, expected to know everything that's in this document, and that if you violate anything in this document, the argument, well, I didn't know, is actually not going to fly at all. Make sure you download a PDF and read it. But let's skip ahead to just the parts of the Code of Conduct that are about academic dishonesty. The language around cheating specifically says that cheating is receiving or attempting to receive, giving or attempted to give, any kind of unauthorized assistance in the preparation of any coursework. That means any coursework that is not specifically labeled as group work. Also, engaging in any behavior that the professor prohibits is also considered academic misconduct. Notice how it says that using an electronic device during an exam, unless you are authorized to do so, is automatically considered to be academic misconduct. It also says that it's regardless of what you're using the device for. For my face-to-face or hybrid students, if you're taking an exam that's in person and you pull out your phone to check the time, even though you're just checking the time and not using it to cheat, the fact that you used it at all during an exam means that you can be accused and found responsible for academic misconduct. For my online students, there is no reason that you would need to use your phone or any kind of electronic communications device during any of the timed exams. Using your phone to communicate with other people during the exam window means that you can be found responsible for academic misconduct. Thus, if you normally talk to your fellow classmates during the week about assignments, you should mute that conversation while the exam is open. Further, we here in the psychology department and many of the departments on campus have had a huge problem with cheating in GroupMe. And so because of that, the codes of conduct have been updated to include the following sentence. Unauthorized collaboration or sharing of materials in an electronic group chat is cheating, and said participation shall be determined by an evaluation of all the facts regarding participation. So let's talk about GroupMe. GroupMe is an excellent tool to have large group texts with other people. The problem with GroupMe is that people are using this tool in a way that violates the academic codes of conduct for the university. If you're using your GroupMe to get answers for any assignment, to collaborate on assignments that are not group assignments, or to share answers for tests, you, the person who posted a request for such things, or you, the person who received these answers, can be found guilty of academic misconduct. Now, here's the scary part. Let's say person A says, I don't know the answer to question number 3. If question number 3 is not a group assignment, asking for an answer is inappropriate, and thus that person might be charged with academic misconduct. Let's say person number 2 says, the answer to number 3 is, and then states the answer. That person has now given an answer for a non-group assignment, and thus they also could be found guilty of academic misconduct. But let's say there's 18 other people who see that answer, and then all 18 of them, even though they did not specifically request the answer, could in fact also be found guilty of academic misconduct. What's happened in our department here in psychology is that some people have actually had charges filed against them for lurking in GroupMe conversations and benefiting from answers that they did not specifically request. That's kind of scary, right? So let's talk briefly about what sanctions you can expect if you are indeed found responsible of committing academic misconduct. The students I've met with recently were kind of surprised at how serious the sanctions can actually be. And I think that's because K through 12 school sometimes imposes very light sanctions for cheating and plagiarism. Cheating at a university and plagiarism at a university usually means much more significant sanctions than the ones that you may have had in K through 12 schooling. If we turn to the website for the Office of Academic Integrity, there's an FAQ page, and on that FAQ page it says, what sanctions can I expect? As you can see, the sanctions really range, and it ranges from what you did, what class you did it in, how many strikes you already have against you, and all that sort of stuff. But some of the things that you can expect are a warning. Honestly, I've been working here quite some time. I've never seen anybody who was found responsible to be gotten off with a warning, but I guess it is possible. But some of the other sanctions that I think is much more common that you can expect are academic probation, academic suspension for 1, 2, or more semesters, and expulsion from the university. You can also expect that you might have to be enrolled in an educational workshop or program about academic integrity. And then there are course level sanctions that may take place, such as a grade penalty where you cannot earn above a certain grade in the class in which you committed the academic dishonesty. Usually this isn't just a B, it's something much more serious. And here in the Department of Psychology, a really common sanction is that you fail the class, not the assignment, not just getting a B, but you fail the class is a very common sanction for actually cheating. We tend to look at plagiarism as an opportunity to teach students, and so maybe you just fail that assignment, but when it comes to cheating, you risk failing the whole course. In addition to that, if whatever you violated in the codes of conduct also violates something to do with your housing, you can be removed from university housing. So keep in mind that the consequences for academic dishonesty might be much more severe than you realize. That being said, let's talk more about GroupMe. GroupMe can be a really useful tool, like I mentioned before, but some of your classmates are using it in ways that are really inappropriate. So what do you do about that? Well, first, if you observe anything that you think is problematic, you can always report it to the teacher. I know that some of you may not feel like you want to do that, and I understand. Let's say you don't want to report anything to the teacher. How do you protect yourself? Well, if you observe something that's problematic, you can speak up and say, hey, you can't do that. You're going to get us all in trouble. You need to knock that off. If that is too direct for you, you can also leave the GroupMe. There's nothing that means that you have to be in there. And in fact, one of the things that you want to pay attention to is whether or not the GroupMe for the class is actually a good fit for you. I understand that some students really appreciate having a place away from the professor to talk about the professor or about the class. But have you ever gone somewhere with someone who was really negative? Let's say you went to Six Flags and you were having a great time, but you went with 2 people who were really negative, and all they did was complain the whole time. They ruin your fun, don't they? They can change your experience of the whole thing. The same thing's true in GroupMe. If you have 1 or 2 really negative classmates who do nothing but complain about the class constantly in GroupMe, then they can actually change your opinion of the class and your experience. And so a class that was either neutral or even positive can become very negative, not because you thought it was negative, but because you were so influenced by those other people. That goes back to groupthink. So examine the GroupMe, and if it's a cesspool of negativity, perhaps it's not the best place for you. I'm not saying that you can't talk to your classmates about the class. I'm just saying be smart. If you're going to talk about the class, talk about the class. But don't let people who are negative ruin your experience. And if you want to talk about the class, talk about the class. But asking for more than clarifications on what she wants and what the directions are and when it's due, and moving into questions that are, what's the answer? And how do I answer this? And can someone help me? Really start to push towards where you have moved from taking an individual assignment to collaborating inappropriately. So protect yourselves. The final thing I want to say is that let's say you are displeased with something in the class and that you and your classmates are talking about it through GroupMe. If I, the professor, am not in your GroupMes, and trust me, I don't want to be, I would never know until maybe the end of the semester if someone just happens to comment on my evals. And I don't see those evals for quite some time. So if you're actually displeased about something, you might want to reach out to me because, of course, I'm the one who can change stuff. Also, if you're confused about how to answer something, or what the directions are, or how to do something in the class, reach out to me. That's my job. And while I understand that reaching out to me might be scary to some students and it might seem safer to ask your classmate, why would all your classmates know the answer? I'm the one who made it. I'm probably the one who knows the answer. So I've made this whole video and said all of this, one, because the current semester I'm in, we've had a lot of academic dishonesty in my classes. But I'm also hopefully going to use this video in future semesters. What I hope for all of you at the end of this that you've learned is you need to read the academic codes of conduct. In fact, you need to read the whole KSU codes of conduct, because saying that you just didn't know is not going to be an appropriate defense. Also, I hope all of you have learned that the sanctions that can be imposed on someone found responsible for academic dishonesty are much more severe than you may have realized, and thus, if the consequences are much higher, perhaps you want to make better choices. And 3, while GroupMe and lots of internet tools are tools, and thus, by their very nature, neutral, it all depends on how they're being used. If you're using GroupMe in a way that's problematic, it's not necessarily GroupMe's fault. And that you need to be smart about how you're going to use these tools so that you can be successful in college and keep yourself safe. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll see you on the internet.